noticed that we've been looking at loving upwards, loving God, and then loving inwards, loving ourselves. And now we're going to be talking about how we can love outwards, how we can love other people. And that's really where the rest of this term is headed. And we're beginning with loving our family. There's a phrase which says, you choose your friends, you don't choose your family. And I think that's true. We don't really get to choose our family. No matter what our circumstances are, we often don't really have a say in who our family is going to be. And I've kind of reworded that phrase to put it like this. You choose to love your friends, and you choose to show love to your family. It's a choice. When it comes to family, we have a choice of whether we show love to them or not. I think automatically we love them. There's something about a family where there's this unconditional love. That isn't always the case, but I think generally speaking, I think most people tend to love their family when push comes to shove. And it often is when push comes to shove, when things have got really bad, that's when they realise that they need a family. And it's often because we take our family for granted. We live with them, especially now when we're in lockdown, we're with them 24/7. We live with them, we often take them for granted. And so we might not necessarily realise how much we love them. I want to state that I don't think anyone in the Bible is 100% a perfect role model, except for Jesus. That's a big exception, by the way. Jesus is a 100% perfect role model. We should absolutely look to him. However, it is worth noting that everyone else in the Bible, except Jesus, mess up a lot and aren't 100% perfect. And the same is with Joseph. Joseph is a great story, and I love the story of Joseph, and I love his life, and I love what happened in it. And there's so much we can take away from. But Joseph isn't perfect. And Joseph doesn't always show love towards his brothers. He's often a little bit boastful, especially when he has those dreams about people bowing down to him. Okay, the first time round he says it and they're annoyed. Fair enough to Joseph, he didn't really think it through. The second time there, that's on him. He really needs to work on his social cues. If he didn't realise the first time that it was going to annoy his brothers, he probably shouldn't have said it a second time. Of course, his brothers don't really show him love either. They throw him into a well and sell him off into slavery. It's a very complicated family dynamic. And actually the problem is Jacob as a father doesn't love his sons equally, doesn't show love towards his sons equally, and that's what causes all the confusion and all the pain and suffering. But in the Bible story that you've watched or read, if you read all 3 chapters, well done by the way, if you just watched the video, I did the same. Joseph is reunited with his brothers after being sold into slavery, after being a slave and working really well in a household and then being thrown into prison for something he didn't do. He then interprets the Pharaoh's dream and is exalted into this prime minister position almost of the country. And his brothers don't recognise him. And Joseph, and this is where I say that he's not a perfect role model, because Joseph, instead of resisting the temptation to mess about with his brothers, he absolutely goes for it, doesn't he? He does it not once, but twice. He messes them about massively. And he puts them in prison, he plants a cup in his youngest brother's sack, and blames them, and all these sorts of things. And he gets up to a load of mischief. But at the end of the day, he does do something that's extraordinary. He forgives his brothers. They may have sold him off into slavery. They may have beaten him up, thrown him in a ditch, sold him off, never to think about him again. But Joseph forgives them. He makes a choice in that moment. He chooses to forgive them and show them love. And forgiveness is so important because it releases people from the guilt and the shame that they may be feeling. The brothers had to live for a long time with the guilt and knowledge and the secrecy of the fact that they threw their brother in a ditch and sold him off into slavery. They had to keep that from their dad. They had to pretend that he was dead. And that carries along and eats away at them for such a long time. But when Joseph chooses to forgive them, they are released from that. And it's the same with Joseph. Joseph had every right to kind of be angry towards them and resent them and hate them for the rest of his life. But he doesn't. He chooses to love them and let go of that, because that anger and that hatred builds up inside you, and it's not good for you. It damages you. Family is important. Friends come and go. But if we work on our family unity, if we work on showing love towards our family, when we show forgiveness to our family, that's really special. Because in those times when everyone leaves, when all your friends disown you or no one talks to you, your family will be there for you. And I recognise this isn't going to be the case for everyone. People have complicated families. But forgiveness is crucial. No matter what your family situation is, forgiveness is crucial. Forgiveness is not the same as justice. Often we have to forgive people even if they've not said sorry to us, even if they've not shown their face to us for many years, so that our hearts don't become a place of bitterness and jealousy and anger. It's a big thing, but God is our Father and he works with us. And when we allow God to help us to forgive people, he will help us. So, how can you show love to your family this week?